Wilson Morales from Black Women TV. Hello, folks. How's it going?
Oh, it's going good.
Thank you
How are
so much.
you?
Good. So, Marco, first film, why this story?
In 2016, I'm an artist, I'm conceptual artist. In 2016, I did a sculpture of these kids that they lost their life. And in 2015, 716 kids, they gone from Syria to Italy, they lost their life. And for a year, I collected a pair of shoes and a full of concrete. And he went to this big museum called the Rani Collection in Vancouver. And after that, I started to understand if I was capable to use another tools to talk about human being and humanity. And I wrote, I'm really obsessed with cinema, and I started to write this film with my partner, Rick. And the idea was to really create a conversation about humanity and human being.
Mm-hmm. And then Zoe, obviously, I know you guys are together, but it's not always easy to say yes. What was it that you said, okay, for his first film, I'm going to support you and I'm going to play this role? And how much research did you do in playing the role?
Well, first of all, it's like it's I didn't have a choice. My husband is doing a movie. And he writes like these amazing characters. Like, I have to jump at that opportunity. But because it was my husband, I did not shy away from putting in the same amount of effort and research and time that I put into to a character when I approach a project. I almost feel like this one I worked a little more on because it was Marco, and I wanted to make sure that I set a tone and I didn't disappoint him, and it was important for me that he knows that I wasn't going to take this lightly. It was a subject that was very close to my heart. It's a sensitive subject. It's super complex, immigration. It's an ongoing conversation. It's a global conversation. I am a citizen of a nation that has been founded by immigrants. And yet there's so many aspects around immigration in my country that are disheartening, that are disappointing, that are great, and I wanted to be a part of that conversation. My focus, my angle was not to live in the why, people are leaving and arriving in a certain destination. Esmeralda, I never really knew why she wanted to leave Mexico and come to the States. I just know that she was a decent person. I felt aligned with her. If there was a child that was thirsty, she was willing to give her water to that child. If there was a mom that would tell her, take care of my daughter until I find you, she was going to keep her word. If a man offered her to be a part of illegal activities, she was going to say no. So everything about Esmeralda felt to me, well, this is human. She's a human being. She's a decent human being. And I just wanted to live in that space and compel people to look at people as human beings and not just immigrants or everything else that they're sort of labeled as.
And for you, Marco, obviously, we're telling two different stories, not only Zoe's character, but we're also talking about Garrett's character. So we can see two different sides and the more dilemma that each one has. Was that a challenging aspect when you were putting together the story with your co-writer?
Yeah, very complex. It's a great question. It's very complex because I think, like you exactly say, there is not only one side, there is both sides. And the idea of this film was about to create conversation, and it's about human behavior. And the human behavior sometimes is not only one color or another. There is a gray feeling.
We live in the gray matter.
We live in the gray, and it's very important to understand the complexity of everything we're doing and the complexity of the choice we're making every day, no matter if you are at the border or everyday life. You're a complex human being with your flawed, and I think that's very what I was trying to be very honest about.
Well, we've got one down. Let's hope we get more out of you, so that way you're not a one and done. So congratulations on your first film. Congrats on the film itself. Congrats on the road, Zoe. I'm sure I'll talk to you down the road on your other projects. Take care.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Long time no see. Wilson Morales from Black Women TV. How's it going?
It's wonderful. It's wonderful to see you.
It's obviously I've known you for a long time, going way back to our brothers. Good that you're still working. What went to saying yes to taking on this project?
This project, look, it was. I've been dear friends with Zoe and Marco for a long time. To work with them, collaborate with them, not only as people that I admire, but as artists I admire. We're both wonderful poets. It was a dream. It was a dream to work with these guys on this.
Yeah, with the character you're playing, obviously, they have a duty to uphold the role with the job responsibilities. Some are good, some are bad. Like how do you find the humanity of what they got to do? Because there's a moral conflict with what they have to do at times.
Absolutely, and there's always going to be a tug of war, between your moral dilemma and your duty. Chip is one that's definitely dealing with this, this constant strain between his job, his occupation, his purpose, his desires for the security and stability that he wants, and amongst his sort of rough, kind of complex past. He's trying to find some grounding, and he feels that he might have just found it. He's dealing with a tug of war of land, of love and law, and it invokes some profound questions of what would you do in this situation. Obviously, my character's at times dealing with an immense amount of guilt for decisions that he has to make. He's really looking inwards at himself introspectively of is this really what he'd like to be doing in life? Yeah, it's it's a very human study at the end of the day, for all parties involved.
You think about what's happening now in real world, and this movie's timely. Do you have a new, I guess, perspective as to what's going on whenever you happen to come across what's happening in real world situations? Whether you're rooting for or against, individuals, without putting any sides to it.
Look, from my upbringing, I couldn't have been further from the ability to become aware and educated on daily occurrences like this. In my town, when I grew up, the indifferences were between either you were a Swede or a Norwegian. I'm from northern Minnesota. Acting and the films I do offers me the ability to become much more aware. They've all, in a way, become educational experiences. This one, just getting to work with Zoe and Marco and hear the journeys that their families have been on and have endured and went through was eye-opening for me. And I've known them for a very long time. To speak more on what these films have done for me, I just got finished shooting a film in Iraq, with all of this going on in the Middle East and bombs being dropped 10 minutes from my hotel, and the U.S. bases, the drone strikes every 2 days, and still when I'd get to set the next morning, our crew members who were locals would say, "Please, Garrett, do not worry. This happens very often here." To feel firsthand how things so catastrophic can be so normalized in parts of the world really gives you a great deal of compassion, of understanding, empathy that you never had going into it. If I could. You hope a film can just bring a little bit of that, because what we get to experience while shooting these is something quite profound, and we hope to be able to present that in the smallest degree. I feel blessed to be able to get to become stronger as a person, as a human, after these experiences. And I guess that's really what I can speak on these is, is how grateful I am to go to work each day and shoot some of these films that deal with very serious things with people you love, and they can take a toll, and they can be very emotionally stirring. But to be able to leave a much stronger person, shit, I hope people could leave the theater much stronger after having seen it.
I think that, and that's a good thing, that they're providing a perspective as to one side or another side, and that people can determine themselves, you know. So congrats again on the role. Obviously, I always, you know, followed you. You continue to work, and so your work gives me work, and we get to see a different perspective and a new character that you're playing. So we'll talk down the road, wherever you're at. Take care. Stay safe.
Appreciate you. Thank you.